And joining me now is NewsNation contributor Mick Mulvaney. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, we've had a very dramatic last 15 minutes here, Mick. What do you make of the strike that the U.S. was holding negotiations with Iran as it happened and what we just saw take place in the last 15 minutes?
Yeah, I'll get to the overall strike here in a few minutes. I am actually texting with friends of mine who are in Dubai at this moment. They say there is a luxury hotel that's on fire, but that it appears that started from the debris from a successful intercept. When I asked both of them if they were hunkering down in a shelter someplace, one said no, and the other said absolutely not. I'm out shopping at a mall. And apparently the Dubai races are going on today and tonight over there as well. So while there is some collateral damage in Dubai, it doesn't sound as if anything there is locked down at all. That part of this fascinates me, Laura, the fact that the Iranians would attack all of the other Arab nations in the Gulf, Dubai, Qatar. I haven't been able to confirm yet there was any actually attack on Saudi soil, but we hear now that the Kuwait airport is on fire and has been hit, etc. So that's a very aggressive move by the Iranians because it essentially sets up a situation where it's them against everybody. You would have thought that maybe they would have appealed to their Arab neighbors to sort of try to calm things down, but it seems like they're going to take on anybody at once. As to the overall timing of this, I'm still struck by the fact this took place during the daytime. Typically, the first steps of any sort of, whether or not it's an invasion, a prolonged attack, or ever, you would expect that to come at night. In the past, it has when we've conducted operations in this part of the world. What I'm seeing on the internet, again, it's unconfirmed, is that it may be that the Americans had information about where the Ayatollah was at that particular time of day, and that's what drove this particular timing of the attack. They had an opportunity, a window of opportunity to possibly take out the senior leadership of the Iranian government, and that's why they did it at this time. But you're right, it's a very fluid situation. My guess is it will be that for at least the next several days, if not much longer. Of course, the big question right now is, what does the end look like here? Is it just the nuclear facilities and abilities, as I think that it probably is, or is it more broader than that and aimed at truly regime change in Iran?
Yeah, I mean, what great perspective you have speaking with people in Dubai, telling us that this luxury hotel is on fire. And we're watching what you're seeing on your screen right now is happening live in Tel Aviv. And this is exactly what Robert Sherman has been walking us through. I believe this is an interception. I'm not. It is an interception. So we've got our cameras trained there to the skies in Tel Aviv as we watch this, and we'll get back to Robert Sherman. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about, Mick, is earlier today we had on the former Israeli ambassador to the United States, Michael Herzog, saying that his sources are telling him that Khamenei was hit. We don't know to what extent, if it's true. We haven't got that confirmed. And then we've got word that Khamenei is going to be giving a speech. Was it pre-recorded? Is it live? What do you make of that messaging that's going on right now? You know, we've got to wait and see. We've got to wait for these reports to be confirmed. But obviously, if any part of that is true, then we're dealing with a different situation here.
Yes, I did. And I saw that interview with Ambassador Herzog, and you asked the exact right question. Talk about whether or not this communication, if it does come out, was pre-recorded or not. So we'll have to be looking very closely, as will our intelligence sources here and the Israelis. Everybody is going to be watching it, media, government, whoever, as to whether or not this is actual proof of life, or is this something that could have been pre-done or even faked. Look, the status of the leadership of the Iranian government is absolutely critical here. Again, I think what the Trump administration is dealing with here is one thing they know they want to accomplish and will accomplish. Donald Trump wants the nuclear program at Iran to be finished once and for all. And as we've learned from the discussions that they had this week, and I believe it was in Geneva with Jared Kushner, they want it gone forever. That's what they want. They want Iran to commit to that forever. I think that's going to happen. And I think at some point in the next couple of days or weeks, we might even see American troops on the ground making sure that's the case. That's what I think this is about at the very basic level. There's another thing going on here that I think the administration would like to see. The nuclear thing they will see. they'd like to see the end of the senior leadership of the Iranian government. So the status of the Ayatollah is critical. I understand there's reporting now that maybe the head of the IRGC was killed, maybe one of the defense secretary was killed as well. So it could be that already large portions, or at least very senior portions of the Iranian government have been killed in this attack, and that would be a big part of the second thing the Trump team is trying to accomplish, which is to replace the leadership and regime change in Iran.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.